So, the Unity CEO has resigned following the massive backlash against the pricing changes that Unity tried to put in place, but eventually had to backtrack on. That's right, this is the first high-profile resignation at Unity, and honestly, in my opinion, a seriously deserved one. But the question is, does this signal a change within Unity? Should people consider trusting them again? We're going to talk about all that today. First, what happened? Basically, Unity, which is a game engine that is used by a lot of indie devs as well as some major studios to create their games. It's one of the easiest game engines to learn to use for development, mainly owing to its large user base that has over the years created guides for pretty much anything you need to learn to do. So what would you do if you were in charge of a company that owes the majority of its success to its users? Users who have a plethora of other options. Well, unless you answered, try to take them for all the money we can, you probably don't work at Unity. They tried to update their pricing structure to charge developers on a per installed basis, and even tried to claim that they would enforce this for all games previously made with Unity, which understandably made a lot of people very mad. This is a brief summary, but if you want the full juicy details, check out my original video on this from a couple weeks ago. The fact is that the community response to Unity's pricing changes was basically to say, yeah, no, we aren't going to use you if you're going to treat us like trash, as well as the almost immediate and complete destruction of any good reputation that Unity had. They'd got too greedy and upset everyone, so they rolled back the pricing changes and proposed a much more reasonable solution. Unfortunately for Unity, they should have proposed the reasonable solution first, as now, not only did Unity suffer the reputational damage, but they've also lost the trust of their users. Who would use a platform that has already decided to and tried to screw over your business unilaterally with no input or negotiations from you? The answer is no one. So it was kind of clear that there was going to have to be something more done to try to earn back people's trust. One way to attempt that was to separate the current executive team from the company, since not only are they now very disliked by the community, but they also got Unity into this mess to begin with. One person in particular got the real ire of the community, mainly because of the absolutely unhinged greed that he's demonstrated in his past comments. The CEO, John Riccitiello. You see, obviously people are going to blame the CEO for this kind of massive mistake, even if something like this couldn't get through without a lot of executives agreeing it was a good idea. The community quickly unearthed some of John's less savory comments, such as when he said that studios and devs that don't consider monetization of their games during the creative process were effing idiots, which he has since apologized for. And perhaps more infamously, when he was CEO of EA, he suggested that they should start implementing microtransactions into games at times where the player won't want to have to stop playing. For instance, he specifically said, when you are 6 hours into playing Battlefield and you run out of ammo in your clip, and we ask you for $1 to reload, you're really not that price sensitive at that point in time. Both of those statements really came to bite John, because honestly, to me, and I think a lot of people, that is just the most out of touch stuff I've ever heard anyone say. Imagine being the CEO of any video game company and misunderstanding what people want to focus on in games that badly. People like John have been the source of so much of the degradation of the gaming industry as a whole, and I think it's honestly a good thing that he resigned. That's right, John Riccitiello has resigned as Unity's CEO, in a move that might win back some people who were switching, I guess. It's certainly easy to see, in my opinion, that any company would be better off without someone who can barely mask their greed as the head honcho, but realistically, I don't think it really changes that much at Unity from a developer's point of view. I mean, sure, John probably had to sign off on those pricing changes everyone was mad about, but I think to some extent the entire upper management is to blame for that massive blunder. He might be an easy scapegoat because of the public disdain for him, but at the end of the day, it takes a village to raise a child, and Unity's village is not doing a great job. So I would still be very concerned about the future of the company and whether or not they would try to use their position to unfairly change terms to their benefit in future. I think it's easy to say, man, they screwed up so bad. I'm sure they learned their lesson and won't do it again, but how often do people and companies fail to learn their lessons? A lot. So I personally won't touch Unity with a 10-foot pole until they've done a lot more to win back trust. What do you guys think? Can you trust Unity again? Or has the ship sailed? What do you think they could do to make people trust them again, if anything? Thank you so much for watching till the end. Have a great day, and God bless you.